So what's today's topic?
Okay, we are live. Welcome to the PPRC podcast. I am the host, Rero, and my co-hosts here are Chu, Alexi, and the GreenIdiot. Today's
Thank you for using my full name.
You're welcome. Today we have a very special episode where we are testing out VR chat, the simulator podcast. And so what you see in the background is us testing out how to play VR chat. Why don't we start with why you pick these avatars? Alexi? Since you're on my left.
Oh, it's a bunny, and this bunny looks kind of cool. I like the way, it's very nonchalant bunny, just chilling.
Yeah, it does look cool.
Yeah.
Okay, Green.
Yeah.
Green.
Originally, I dressed up as Death, but then I was like, that's a little too emo. So I went with a character that is green and looks like an idiot.
It actually suits you perfectly. Like,
Thank you. I don't know how to take that personally, but thank you.
wait, no, it suits your name. Your player name.
Yeah.
And Chu?
No reason.
Come on, it had at least look adorable.
Okay, yes, it looked adorable.
So big cat.
Green,
Big cat.
if you're not gonna sit then...
Dude, it's so
I'm
funny.
multitasking.
What?
If you see my screen, what Green is doing is funny, and then she was just playing with the dice.
Alright, so today we have the topic of consoles. Alexi, did you want anything specific about consoles? You brought it up.
Anything?
How about
Maybe
top 5 consoles?
Go ahead.
Top 5
Top 5.
We'll make a list.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
actually, let's start with this. What was your first console?
The first one was Nintendo NES. The first one, yeah, that was my first. The Japanese version, actually.
There was a
was my
difference
first.
between the Japanese and US edition.
Yeah, there was the Japanese one was top loading, so it's like you load the cartridge from the top, and then the American one is more like a toaster, but it's like you have to open like a door that's like horizontal, and then you open it, and then you slide a big cartridge in. But they basically play the same game, you just format it differently.
Wow. I was talking to Desi yesterday about that too, and he was thinking about getting an NES, like the original, from Japan for his collection. Alright, aren't you? Since you're here, when did you start your console journey? What was your first console, actually?
No, it's just Nintendo 64. That's the only console I've ever had.
Oh, really? Only one console.
Yep.
And you, Mr. Green? I don't know why I'm calling you Mr., but I think it's appropriate. What was your first console?
Green, we can't hear you.
Yeah, that would help that my mic would be turned on. I think I've played the N64 and the Atari, but like the first console that I actually played with was the GameCube.
Dang.
Lot of good memories with that one.
I started with my friends back in elementary had the GameCube. But my first real console was the Wii. And that was the big one.
Yeah, that's the one that I got it for my birthday, but it was apparently a family gift for the whole
Oh,
family.
so you shared it.
Yeah.
I got for
And I
Christmas.
barely got to play it on my birthday.
Oh, that sucks.
Oh man.
Nah, it's fine.
I probably put in a lot of hours to the Wii. I've only had Nintendo and Sony, like the PS3, PS4.
Hmm.
Those are my only three consoles I really experienced with. What about you guys?
Mhm. For me, it was the Nintendo first one, and then after that was Sega Genesis. And that was pretty fun. That was like a whole generation. And after that was PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2, then PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, then PlayStation 4, and now is Nintendo Switch. That's the consoles I have
Oh,
in chronological
oh, hell,
order.
that's a lot of
Yeah,
consoles, Alexi. You may be the most
yeah,
experienced out of all of us.
yeah. Because console was the I would say a little bit cheaper. It could be cheaper than PC because I don't know. PC at the time as a kid was kind of too expensive, but if you could get yourself a PC, some of the games were. I don't know. I would say during those times the price was basically the same. Yeah, this is before Steam and Steam sale. So and with consoles, you didn't have to know how to fix computer or to upgrade. You just if you have a console, you'll just work.
Yeah, exactly. The whole point of consoles is just plug and play.
Yeah, so I kind of got to experience the first I think 5 generations of console gaming, starting from the Nintendo era, the Super Mario era, and after that was Sonic. And then I would say iconically, when Sony PlayStation came in, it was a giant leap because this is when they were started using CDs, and one of the most iconic game at this time was at least in the USA was Final Fantasy VII. Yeah, that was really big.
I heard about the remake, but I assume you played the original.
Yeah, I played the original, and this is a time where like Japanese RPGs was I wouldn't say it was very very popular. Yeah, it was. I mean, Final Fantasy VI existed. What they call it Final Fantasy 3 on Super Nintendo, but I wouldn't say a lot of people like mainstream wise. A lot of people played it. Like not everyone. Like everyone kind of knew about Super Mario, right? Stuff like that. But it was more niche to know about like Final Fantasy. But Final Fantasy 7 when it came out, yeah, like that was really a big deal. Like it took a lot of traction, and that was I would say the maybe the second time I played a Japanese RPG, and the way you play it, is not the same as before. Before was like maybe pixels. That one was in 3D, and it was a huge game in length and in narrative. Yeah, it was really fun.
Speaking of huge games, when I got the Wii, it came with, well, not besides Wii Sports and everything. The first game for me that was really well done was Super Mario Galaxy, and it was really innovative because it got you to think like in space, like Space Cat Chew on the right, because you're walking on these planets and these planets are really small, and then all these puzzles are very innovative. So that's where I first got to experience Mario for the first time on console. Before that, I was actually on Game Boy, but I've been out of the handheld market for a while. Chew, would you
I don't know if
what?
I was gonna say I don't know if handhelds are really popular anymore. Besides the Switch, maybe, but even still.
Is the Switch a console or is it a handheld?
It's both. It's both because okay, so you can take it and you can play it like a Game Boy, like like you anywhere, right? Like, you don't need to plug it at home. Okay, you can go to bus stop and you can play on the whatever. And then when you come home, they have a dock. Okay, you put the Switch into the dock and you can play it on your TV, so it becomes a console.
Back when the Switch launched, there was always comparisons about how the graphics weren't as good, and because it was a portable, it couldn't match the power of, say, the PS4 or the PlayStation 3. Do you think that's a something like graphics wise? Do you care about that?
Um, Graphics wise, it depends on the game because if you play like Zelda Breath of the Wild, where like games that are made specifically like optimized for the Switch, it's actually very beautiful. It's very nice, and you don't really tell the difference in terms of what do you call it, performance wise, because it's so well designed, right?
Okay.
And some games like there's a new one that came out. It's called Unicorn Overlord, and it's kind of a 2D sprite kind of. No, it's like a 3D sprite. This new like a kind of a new technology. The way that they make like anime 2D look 3D. I don't know if I'm explaining this correctly.
Anime 2D look
And
3D. That sounds interesting.
it's very it runs very well and it's very pleasant. It's fun. Yeah. And somehow they have been able to port a lot of PC games. Like Witcher 3 is on it. The new Doom games are on it. What else? Yeah, lots of games are on it. A lot of games you see on Steam is on Switch. Maybe it's not the same graphics quality, but I think that because the screen is smaller, they can just adjust it so it runs at a lower resolution.
Right. I definitely know that they sacrifice some things in the ports, and so one of the things I look
Would
forward to
you,
is, I guess, the quality. So
Alexi, would you rather have a Steam Deck or a Switch?
Mm, if it's free or I had to pay.
You had to pay half price.
wait. What do you
Mm,
mean? Do you mean like the Steam Deck is half price, or the
They're both half price, and you had to choose one.
I
Let's say
think
they're both
honestly,
like $300.
I would pick the Steam Deck because I can't. I don't think we can get it here from where I'm at. Yeah, but because of the kind of the rarity of the Steam Deck.
Yeah, I like the Steam Deck actually. You can actually emulate Switch games on it if you wanted to. So that defeats the purpose of you buying a Switch, in a sense.
Yeah, but I think the Switch is slightly cheaper.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, but yeah, deck would be nice. It would be nice.
So, what would be your seeing how only Alexi and I have most consoles under our belt, and Green, you
Well,
how
hey
many
now.
consoles do you have you owned?
Well, that like my family is owned Atari, um, GameCube, PS1, PS2, Xbox, Xbox 360, Wii, Xbox One. I think that's all of them. One time as a kid, I did go to a garage sale and I got this off-brand Wii, which was not fun.
Still, it sounds like you had a lot of, at least you were able to play on a lot of consoles.
Yep.
You guys ever play the Game Boy original?
We I had a Game Boy Color, but I only had one game for it. I think it was like it was a skating game. I don't remember what it was.
I had the Advanced SP, so the next generation, backlight keyboard, backlight screen, and I had a couple games on it. Mainly Zelda, Mario, even Wario. That was good handheld.
I think
That was great because with just like a set of batteries, it lasted a while. Like at least a week,
Oh, this was the
maybe
one where
more.
you had to plug it in, and recharge the internal battery.
Oh, nice.
Did you guys ever
Hmm.
watch that Tetris movie?
No.
No.
It was about the story of the guy who took Tetris away from the Soviet Union and brought it over to the US, and it was a big hit, and then the Soviets got upset about it. Interesting movie. I don't remember who the actor was, but he played the main character in Kingsman.
All right, I'll look into it. Save it for the edit. So what would you say is the I guess we were trying to rank consoles. Your number one console. I know Chu only has one console, so he can only put one down. But if he were to put another console down, he could do that. So what would be your number one console out of all the ones you've had?
Like in addition to Nintendo 64.
Well, you said you only had one console, right?
Yeah.
So that would be your only console you had experience with. But if you were to pick another console, what would you do? What would you choose?
Um,
Or PC Master Race?
PC Master Race, but probably a Switch
Really? What would be your your number one console, guys?
Are we talking about
of
like
all
if you can
time.
only pick one
Yeah, yeah.
to have, or like overall the cultural impact kind of thing?
Overall, what meant to you the most?
Honestly, I'm
Us.
kind of torn between GameCube and Wii because I do miss the GameCube days where you would have four people in the same room and actually play the game. But I think the Wii, especially in the early days, had a lot of community things. Like you used to be able to vote in polls and stuff like that. I don't know if you guys remember that.
Mm.
And then there was like just different
So,
stuff. Also, you could I don't know. It came out around the same time as the Xbox, but I wasn't really paying attention back then. Was it the first console that you could like really make your own like character, like a me?
yeah, that was the Wii.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I had the 2DS. I just remembered. 2DS was fun
That's
too.
not a console though. That's a handheld.
Oh, oh,
Yeah, yeah,
console. Okay,
consoles.
handheld. Oh, then I think I'm kind of between Switch and PlayStation 1 because when PlayStation 1 came out, the games that came with it were just so it was like the best. They had Resident Evil 1, which is I don't know, we never see anything like this before, like a horror game that's in 3D and it's a survival. And then they had there's a game called Twisted Metal, which is you have a arena fight with cars armed with weapons. That was pretty amazing, and yeah, there was a ton of games. Final Fantasy was on it, and I don't know. I think if we're not judging by the like side by side in current time, but more as in the era, right? Like the experience of that time, I say PlayStation 1. That was magical. But Switch, but with that right now, if you have a Switch, you can have access to a lot of the old games, including some of the PlayStation 1 games. So I don't know. I think right now I would pick Switch in the current timeline, but overall PlayStation 1 was probably the best.
I think the issue of consoles is that they live or die by the games that are under their belt. which is not really ideal because it doesn't really reflect what the console can do.
Yeah.
It's really up to the developers of the games that are released under their belt.
I think for me it was consoles, you'd play them with people in the same room. But nowadays it's like you play online on a console, and if I was gonna play online, then I'd pick a computer. PC Master Race.
I like the
Yeah.
Yeah, I think like the internet changed a lot of things when it came to gaming.
the Wii had both aspects because you only had 4 players with 4 controllers, but then you could also do single player games and play online. One of those games I played a lot was Animal Crossing, where you go to Animal Town and you build your own house, and you can also visit other people's towns. And so my mom and I put in a couple hundred hours of effort to that.
Was the Wii U the first game or gaming console that you could have like 5 players?
Yes, because the tablet
Yeah,
counts as one.
yeah. I did like the Wii U. I didn't play it as much, but I did like it, which we should count because I remember we did own it. So that's another console under my belt.
Oh, I remember if we're talking about multiplayer consoles, like my friend had a Dreamcast, and that one had a lot of fighting games. They had Street Fighter, Marvel vs. Street Fighter, and I forgot what else. Street Fighter Alpha 3. I forgot, but like we would go to his house and it's basically it's the quality of the ports were so good. It was almost like playing at the arcade. Yeah, and we would just go to his house and play like that those 2 games all afternoon. It was pretty fun.
Alexi has more nostalgia. Would you ever go back and replay
Yeah.
those, like say on the emulator?
Mm, not really. It's kind of not the same anymore.
I see.
Kind of it's not just the console, right? It's the like you go into someone's house that era where you kind of decide that, or you go to the arcade and spend money, or you could go to your friend's house and you don't have to spend it much anything. Just walk there. So I think it's the whole experience of that time.
I agree. There's an association with the time that we were in back then that just can't really be replicated now.
Well, that's why we're in VR
I,
chat because now we have avatars you can kind of simulate for us of playing together. Sorry, something just rang in the background. The other console I would probably put forward is I played a lot of PS3. Well, it was my dad's, but basically for the consoles I've owned, we basically hacked them and sailed the high seas for free games. So that's how I was able to experience a lot of the interesting games.
Oh, your dad was a gamer. It's cool.
Well, he technically owned his consoles, and then for the games he couldn't play, he made me play. But that was a long time ago.
he
Yeah,
made you play.
what's it like to have a father that plays games? What's it like up here? Yeah.
He's not really a gamer in the sense that he's only looking for the graphics and the initial interest. So, whereas I would be willing to put in the effort to see the conclusion and the trial and effort to see the end. If it doesn't stick to him, then he won't play with it. But it's a different story if he gets my mom involved to play with him. So during the pandemic, they did some gaming together on this console.
I remember my dad would like only play one of the Ghost Recons. I think they were in Korea. I don't remember which one it was. Like you'd only play that. Do you
Yeah,
guys associate consoles with like specific games? Like for me,
yeah.
the GameCube, I like my family, my brothers and I would always play Super Mario Strikers, which was a soccer game, and we would always play as like the captain would be Mario, and then the rest of us would be Toad, and then we would just headbutt everybody
That sounds fun.
Hmm.
on the field. It was fun. It was best.
I associate every
Yeah.
Nintendo character with Nintendo consoles, just because that's the only their platform block essentially.
Yeah, for me, I don't know if you guys know Fire Emblem. It's like a tactical game. That's Switch. For me, that's Switch, and then Final Fantasy for PlayStation, because that used to be the only way you could play Final Fantasy was PlayStation, and Ghost of Tsushima for PlayStation 4. But I think that's getting ported to, or is it already out for PC? I don't know.
Nowadays, everything is getting a PC port. Heck, even the Helldivers
Yeah.
2 was PS4, PS5, and then I got ported to PC, and then that got popular. So I hear.
Yeah. I I remember the most recent generation, PS5 and what is that, Xbox X. During the pandemic, it was almost very difficult to buy one. Yeah, and then some of them were getting sculpted, and I don't know. I don't even know if they have any good games on it that's not already on PC. So I've heard they're kind of struggling because it's like a stagnating generation.
Yeah, I think a lot of us went to gaming computers instead of consoles.
One thing I tried during the pandemic was actually emulating like Breath of the Wild and Super Mario Odyssey on my PC. So emulation has come a long way in which that you don't need a console anymore. You can just, as long as your PC is good enough, you can just play on your computer. That until Nintendo comes with a lawsuit and strikes down your emulator.
Hmm. Yeah, scared of Nintendo.
Didn't they start like sending like cease and desist letters to streamers for streaming Nintendo games?
They sent cease and desist for people who spoiled Breath of the Wild early because there was a leak. How does that make you feel?
I thought it was
Hmm.
more to that. I thought it was just games in general, but
They're trying to like, it's all about the control. Nintendo
yeah, I
makes
mean,
good games, in my opinion. Shitty company.
They're a very ancient company, you know. Like I heard they're like the origin they made playing cards back in the
yeah, 1800s.
1800s. Yeah, yeah.
I do feel like recently though, with the even with this like Switch, it's just not been something that I'm at least like, you know, I don't want to play that, you know? Like I would rather have an Xbox X or a PS5 over a Switch. I think that's just because like it's geared more towards my play style. Like I don't even really know what games they have on the Switch besides the flagship games.
Oh, they have a lot. In fact, a lot of the Steam stuff, Steam games that are on Steam are on. Yeah, it's on the. It was that eShop on the Nintendo, and the thing that's good about them is imagine having Steam sales almost every day. They have like their version, so you could get games really cheap, like $5, $4 for a piece. Like basically ports of PC games on it.
Yeah, but there's websites where you can get games cheap.
So Alexi, my only problem with consoles is that at the end of life, you don't actually own the games. See the DS the DS store closed, right? So people who
Mm,
pay for the games and the DLCs, they can't download anymore. So there was a big push to get people like a game preservation movement.
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, which kind of also leads
No,
to
that's true.
piracy.
You're right. Yeah, that's true. That's true. But I think even with Steam, we don't really own it. Yeah, we have the what is that? We get to D out.
It's a
What is
license.
that? Yeah, we get a license, but I mean, I'm. It's unlikely they're gonna shut down Steam, but compared to old days where you go to the store, right, and then you buy the actual CD or DVD, it's at the end of the day we don't really own it forever, and which is kind of terrible. Yeah, unless you buy from what a GOG, you can actually download it.
Exactly. GOG is a
I
good
don't know. I
good
forgot.
resource. But if we're talking about, well, Steam is a big company, and I don't think they'll ever go away. Nintendo, on the other hand, will continue to make consoles, and in the future, say 20 years, you may not be able to play Switch games anymore, unless if the ones you download online.
Mm,
If you have the chip, then yeah.
that's true. That's true. I don't know. I guess for me, I'm trying to just enjoy the game right now, and not worry too much about like, oh, can I play this 20 years later? Because I don't know if I'll still be around in 20 years. Yeah,
Well,
I'm more focused on. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
it's more for the, I guess, the future generation. So
Mm,
right now we have kids growing up on Fortnite and Roblox, but if they want to experience the older generation games, they can't, or at least the full experience.
mm,
So that's why there's a big push in which I support the emulation and the preservation of old games because once they're taken from the store, like the store goes down, and the developers do not have to necessarily port it over to the new console, it's dead.
that's true. That's true. There's a Fire Emblem game that I actually like. That's only on the 3DS, and you can't play it anymore. You can't even buy it unless you, I guess, emulate it. Yeah.
I remember when Nintendo shut down. I think it was like the social aspects of the Wii. So like you couldn't vote anymore. And then I think like 5 years ago or something they shut down support for like the whole store. So like my mom used to watch Netflix on the Wii through the app, but then they shut down support for it. So I think just in general, specifically with Nintendo, like they're trying to get you to buy the new
Oh,
consoles.
definitely. Like I said earlier,
Uh,
I love their games and the creative aspect of Nintendo, but as a company, it's not the best in terms of for the consumer.
Was
I don't
there
like that. Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna ask, was there a controversy around Mario Run? Because I know that Apple released a Mario game, um, and then there was controversy around it.
I don't know about that.
I don't remember it. Alexi, what were you gonna say?
No, it's like Nintendo's almost like the Apple of consoles. Yeah.
Yeah,
The truth is, nowadays we don't really own our games, especially when they're on Steam. How does that make you feel, Chu? I guess Chu is busy.
Um, I don't feel anything. Like, do I really care about ownership of a game that I've already played and has kind of outlived its purpose in my life? Not really.
Well,
It's like games are like a temporary aspect of my life. Like I've had games that I loved playing a lot when I was younger, right? And I actually sold my Nintendo 64. I sold it. I sold all my games for some cash.
Well-
And I don't really regret it because I realized me holding on to those games, it's more about sentimental value than what the actual value of the game is.
That's a interesting
And
point.
then so it was just taking up space in my closet. And then I look at it from time to time. And when I mean time to time, I mean like once every like 2 or 3 years. And it's just taking up space in my closet. And I don't know what to do with it. I'm not going to pull it out and play it again. So I just decided to sell it for some cash. And I don't regret it. So that's how I feel about ownership of a game. And it's really no different than like the Steam games that I have now. It's like, okay, I have a license to play with it. I mean, I have it as long as I live and as long as Steam lives. And it's also not so different from
Guys, don't go downstairs.
streaming off Netflix, streaming off Spotify. You don't own the content, and that's totally fine. You don't have to own everything in this world.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's a very interesting
you know,
perspective.
it's good to. I think it's the pros of it being on Steam is that if you have physical games and it breaks, then good, that's the end of it. But Steam, if if the game file's corrupted, you can just re-download it, and it's fine. Because physical, like if it's not CD, right? Even CDs, okay, even CDs can crack. But if it's like cartridges over time will probably not work. Yeah, there's a risk of it corroding, and the actual electronic circuitry is gonna. It's not meant to be immortal. Yeah.
I would contrast it with like movies. Like if there's a movie you want to see, you'll go and stream it or go to the movie theater, but you don't own the movie. But if it's like something that you enjoy watching and want to watch maybe once a year continuously, then you'll probably own the DVD.
Yeah, so there's like a degree of like emotional attachment to the content. Like if it was a piece of artwork that you would hang up on the wall, and then you would look at it and it gives you, it gives you a sense of, that the artwork belongs there in your home, and you look at it so often, then okay, yeah, I can see the argument for ownership of art.
I
Yeah.
think if I could find a working GameCube with 4 controllers and then Super Mario Strikers, I would get it. And then anytime people came over, I would offer to play it. Like that's a game that I would own. Like I would want to own that.
What about
But
when? So I have an article here from the Medium that there was a controversy about Ubisoft. If you bought a game on Ubisoft platform, then they actually removed like games on your inactive accounts. Do you think that you should be able to reactivate your account and get your game back, or is it good to be lost forever if you're not active
I think
gaming?
I think Steam does that too. No,
Not sure, but that's kind of why are they making it inactive? I don't understand why they need to do that.
Well, it's their policy. So, like, say if you don't log into your account for 180 days, then your account goes inactive, then you lose all your games.
What if someone's in a coma or in jail, right? What if they go to jail? Like, what?
I
They lose all their
well,
games?
I do see your point, but also I think they have bigger priorities.
But still, is that kind of suck? Imagine someone has 300 games. They invested, I don't know, $10,000 over 10 years, right? Or not even 10, 20 years. They had it since they were 18 or whatever, and then they go to jail at 40 for like 1 year, right? Some stupid, I don't know, whatever. 1 year sentence. and they come out and all their game is gone. Like, it seems kind of
Like I remember
unfair.
back when the PS5 launched, there was some controversy over whether you would be able to buy the console with a disc drive. That way, when you buy the game, you have a disc, you own it forever. Or you buy the discless version, and you just download all your games like that.
Yeah, I was when I heard about the Xbox One S, where it was like you couldn't put any discs in it. I was like, why would anyone buy this?
Yeah,
but nowadays, everyone plays like we don't own our games. We lease them.
right. That's the word, lease.
And yeah, I don't like that. It's like renting instead of owning a home.
What is that saying? You will own nothing and be happy.
I think that sentence applies to what Chu did with his no, he owned his console. But if he, I don't know, Chu, what do you feel about that? Do you agree with you own nothing and be happy?
I want to own some things,
Just not everything.
I
but
would
only the
like to
things that
own my
matter to me.
clothes.
Right. Right, your priorities matter.
So like like some people, like for example, like a lot of people have cars, right? It's a North American thing. What do people use cars for? Some people use it purely for the function of transportation, right? Some people use it as a means to show off wealth. Some people use it as a hobby where they mod their cars, right? So they're all just cars, objectively speaking, but everyone has a um, different way of looking at the car and how it fits in their life. So that's quite kind of similar to games because some people will say game is like an art, right? Some people will say games are just a means to kill time.
Strasfucia.
If there was a game that was very precious to you, like I guess it made your childhood and made the person you were, would you keep it as a memento, or would you sell it eventually? Chu said he sold his childhood games. What about you, you two? For me, I kept
Well, like
I
I,
kept my games.
like I said, if I had an opportunity to own a GameCube and Super Mario Strikers, I think I would take it.
So you would go back and
Like,
have it in your collection.
yeah, I don't know if I would play it by myself, but like definitely when my brothers come over.
Yeah, I actually still have all my games in storage
Same.
because it's for me to sell it. It's more hassle. Like the money you get is like not that much. Yeah, relatively is not that much, and it's
I would.
just.
Oh, sorry. Please continue.
I mean, for me, I mean, at this current moment, I don't need to sell it. But I think even if I mean, it's not even in. I'm not even keeping my games in like you know how like they keep it in a special container or whatever. I don't even do that, right? And I think for me to sell the games, I don't think it's gonna get that much money. So I'm just keeping it. I don't know if it's for sentimental values, but where I'm from, there's always like a risk of uh like we will have no internet, okay? So I will not be able to download games or anything, and we have to resort to physical media for entertainment. So that's why I'm still like very cheaply collecting like media, just in case like I might not have internet for 6 months to a year. Yeah, go ahead.
Chu?
Yeah, I guess there's a socio-economic aspect to your decisions, Alexi, because you live on the island,
Yeah.
where like internet access is kind of not taken for granted.
For me, I still have my games in storage, though I do agree with Chu's point that at a certain point, some of those games don't mean as much as me to me as they did before. So I would be willing to part way with them over time and forget them. Other games, on the other hand, maybe not for the time being.
Like in a lot of Asian families, uh, they struggle with this hoarding mentality.
Yeah.
They everything is scarce to them, so they don't want to throw away anything, even if the value of it is negligible. So we have Asian families who hoard plastic grocery bags, you know,
Yeah, that's true.
because I mean it's worth nothing, but I guess you could reuse it as a normal garbage bag. Um, but then we'd have like people, families like picking up pens at car dealerships and just taking them home, taking pieces of notepads from the hotel, right, and then just hoarding them at home. But for what reason, I'm not too sure. But there is that scarcity mentality that really, holds people back from letting go of things that they don't really need.
I can kind of theorize why, because that generation, okay, that's post communist generation, where either they escaped from communism or they were always they're in a survival mode. It's not like they are not from a time of excess and times of bounty. Like a lot of them come from, like, they didn't have dental care. You know, a lot of them, like, they only go to the dentist if their tooth is about to like fall off, and they don't go see a doctor unless like they're about to die, and because everything was expensive. Even eating apples, like apple is kind of taken for granted, right? People think, oh, apple is nothing, right? But back in the day, like uh, post World War, no, not even post War, like around the World War II time in Asia, like an apple was like almost like $5 to $10. Something is so to be treasured, like an apple or eating meat. So I can kind of understand why they have this hoarding mentality, because they're not used to, like, you get to eat ice cream every day, right? Or you get to eat meat every day or even every meal. You get maybe vegetables and rice if you're lucky. Yeah.
I can relate. I have family like that, and I'm trying to, I guess, de-junk myself as well for whatever I have.
For me, I see a lot of people buy things and then either it's not in the best condition and it breaks, or it's bought broken and then they just never fix it.
What example would you give?
Well, my dad one time, sorry, there's a train. I don't know if you can hear it, but my dad bought a food industry grade like refrigerator for his business, and then it broke, and then he just never fixed it. And then my brother-in-law, he has a house that he's not fixing, which I understand. Houses are a lot of work, but it's just stuff like that.
So he keeps the fridge for storage?
He had a business, and then it just broke, and he never fixed it, and it's still there in his garage.
Well, I can relate to that as well because I have a backlog of projects to like repair,
Yeah,
fix, and the list only keeps it growing. Just like the Steam list of Dead Set keeps on growing.
yeah.
Eh,
Like I have a typewriter I still haven't fixed.
That goes into the human nature of procrastination.
Like I saw this radio and vinyl player at a thrift store, and I wanted to get it because it's a cool piece of furniture because it's it it's an old, I think it's vintage, and it's like a whole cabinet, and it looks cool, and I want to get it, but I don't think I'm gonna be able to fix it. Like I don't think I have
Yeah.
the willpower.
I was thinking about getting the vinyl and playing records, but then when I saw that total cost of maintaining a record player, and then the space you need to keep the records, it was just I don't have the space or the money, or actually the time too, because you have to be able to fix the needles and all that stuff, and I don't know, I don't have the motivation to learn all that.
It's so much easier to just go digital. Like I have
Yeah,
my own well, ever since Google Play Music shut down, I migrated to my own self-hosted music server. That way I can just do everything there, I can tinker with it, and it's less maintenance than actually having physical media to manage or equipment.
that's like a I was a hobby for the people with more I would say wealthier, because they have the space, right? They have the time, and yeah, like records cost time to just even go and look through. Like, you go to these shops or thrift stores or boutique places, and that's a lot of effort.
Well, I think nowadays everyone is like, I know a lot of artists are offering like vinyls, and a lot of people are buying those. It's kind of like with Polaroid and everything like that. Like people are trying to go retro and vintage.
Yeah.
All right. Let's end this podcast with Dead Set's word of wisdom for the week.
What?
Okay. Thank you, Dead Set.